Hello there, Kaye here, and I am in Baxter, Tennessee today at my friend Darrell Luck's incredible garden, which I'm going to share with you, from winter hardy banana plants to castor bean, beautiful ornamental plants, to all manner of vegetables, and of course, he has how many varieties of bamboo?
35.
35. We're going to take a tour and you don't want to miss it, so stay tuned.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to my garden. Finally, when it's lush and beautiful. And we're going to go around the front here first because it's going to get hot there and other areas are a little shady. So we'll take you on a tour. This place is full of rocks. My property, I've been blessed with rocks, and it's my task to put them where they need to go. So I had a big slope here, and there was a cedar tree that had grown out so much it was covering up the edge of the house almost. So I stripped all the branches off, and this is actually filled with pure compost that I made here on the property. There's no soil in here. So everything I grow here just thrives so much for many years now. Of course, I just brought the rocks in from up there on the hill, and it probably only took me, I don't know, a week to build this at the most. The teepee doesn't look that great right now because, I'll tell you, all right, on this side with the orange flowers,
I know what that is. That is, don't tell me.
Okay.
That is Scarlet Runner.
Scarlet Runner beans, which I'm real thrilled about.
I'm growing too, but mine are this tall.
Okay. Well, then on this half of the teepee, I decided to do yellow crowder peas, which I also love. This is the third planting, and it's finally took. The first two were eaten by a vole.
Oh.
And so I kept coming out, and then they weren't coming up, and the Scarlet Runners were starting to grow, and nothing was, so.
See, you need a cat, Darrell.
I need a cat. The kind of rock work I do, of course, it's dry stacked. There's no cement or anything. And a lot of people that work with rock, they'll use some tools and chip off, to make them fit better or give them a nice face or whatever. It's kind of a challenge to me to just use the rocks as they are and try to make them look good. And so what that involves is putting a rock in place and looking at it and saying, no, that's not the right rock, moving it and bringing another one in, and that's how I do it. Yeah, I was about to pull them up. You see how this is collards here and it's eating up really bad. But now it's putting on, we got a lot of rain and it's putting on new growth. That one over there looks real nice. And so, this is a kind of kale right here. Same thing, it was all eaten up looking. It's coming back. And so I just fill this up with, that's lima beans growing along the front wall there. It's a bush
look,
lima.
There's your cabbage moth.
Yeah,
just
there he is, causing me the trouble.
And these are the crowder peas you were talking about?
Yeah, up against the teepees, the crowder peas.
And how close do you plant your peas?
About 3 inches.
You don't need to thin them when you're
I don't. They do fine.
Teepee?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then anywhere I had blank space, I came out and I planted. These are bush lima beans. Oh, look at that.
I'm growing bush limas.
Look at this. That's either deer or rabbit has shown up right here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're eating them a little bit.
You got another one.
Yeah. This is the best way to cage a tomato. This is concrete reinforcement wire. And yeah, it's bulky when you buy it. You got to buy a big heavy roll of it. But you can make a whole bunch of cages out of one roll. And I just cut, there's 13 squares. I found that to be the perfect size. 12's a little skinny, 14's too big. So I do 13 of these squares around. And and then if you cut this in half, you can get 2 pepper cages. I do that sometimes for peppers. But I leave some of the wire, I cut at the bottom, I cut the bottom strand off so they're like little things to poke in the ground, and it holds. You mulch it in and the wind doesn't blow them over. And
you said you've had these for decades.
Yeah, I made these probably 30 years ago. I've moved all over the place and I always take my tomato cages.
Everything else you leave, but your tomato cages.
The only thing I leave is bamboo. I leave bamboo behind everywhere I go. So there's a nice kale planting over there.
Oh, wow.
Been eating off of that.
Look at this tomato, my goodness.
And this is the first one that gives us ripe tomatoes this year.
Now, are you concerned about these leaves that look bad?
Well, it happens every year. And what I'm happy about is it's just now starting. Usually they're looking kind of rough at the bottom already. And this year it's been so wet, I guess, and they're getting adequate moisture. They're all thriving.
Right.
So
this kale looks amazing. Except what happened here?
Yeah, I just saw that. I don't know what happened to that one. Looks like it rotted a little. See, it's almost too wet lately here. So here's where
Oh yeah.
it meets the ground, so you can just walk right into the teepee. I just pulled a bunch of weeds recently, but
Oh,
see,
these scarlet runners look fabulous. And what are the white flowers mixed in?
I don't know. It might have been something from last year. I just noticed them last night.
So you only planted the scarlet runners
This year, yeah.
Wow.
And
so
see, what's
pretty.
nice about the teepee is when you're inside the teepee and it's all covered up, it'll soon be totally covered in greenery. It's real shady in here, and all the beans hang down away from the teepee, so it's real easy to see it. You don't have to hunt in the foliage to find your beans.
Yeah, next year for sure we're doing
Yeah, we'll get you a
teepees
teepee.
at my place.
Yeah, you got to have a teepee.
Yep. Tell me about this plant, because I know you grow these really huge ones.
Yeah, that's this elephant ear. One year I had this whole bed full of elephant ear. I grew so much because it was that pure compost. They made giant roots the size of grapefruits and stuff.
Wow.
I sold hundreds of roots that year.
Wow.
It was amazing. But I left one in here.
And this is an ornamental.
Yeah, it's just for looks. All right, this is the second bed now that I've built in front of the house. I just had a slope with a lot of Bermuda grass, and I built up with compost and soil, manure. And last year's the first year I planted in this bed. It was all potatoes. And so this is year number 2 to use this bed. And every potato you see growing in here, I have some. These are all volunteers from last year. They're the ones I missed digging up, I guess. So I left them wherever they popped up. And I put in some tomato plants. And then I filled in, this is all, again, those bush lima beans all filled in down through here. And there's a few zinnias up here so Mom could look out the window and see some flowers, but they're not, there's a flower getting ready to come. We've had a few flowers and now they're getting ready to do some more. I made 3 mounds here, and in each mound I planted 3 different kinds of melons. One is the Moon and Stars melon. One is the Crimson Sweet melon. And then the other is I've had this for years, kept seeds. It's a banana melon, it's called. It makes a long yellow melon it's exactly like cantaloupe inside, really delicious. But you got to catch it just at the right time. You got a few days of perfection and then it goes downhill fast. But they put out so many melons, it's just amazing. And my melons are trying to come in and cover my limas. I'm trying to send everything that way. And I'm sending them out over the edge, and I'll let them go out in that.
Did you just stick seeds in here? Because I did see some melon starts.
No, I had started all these ahead because I wanted to get a head start. Otherwise, you don't get melons till October or something, That's the Moon and Stars melon. And the melon itself will also have some little spots, but also spots maybe about that big around, completely yellow, maybe a couple of them.
Well, that must make you just wild with glee because you love yellow.
I love yellow. I've seen this in catalogs and stuff. I've never grown that type of melon before, but all 3 of these are thriving beyond my expectations right now. So
Was all of this compost as well?
there's a little soil mixed here, but a lot of manure and leaf mulch was put in here. This will become a bed, and eventually over there will become a bed with another teepee set up on that one. So I'll have teepee at each end of the house.
Oh, nice. And you're going to build a teepee on the Virginia creeper tree right now?
Yeah, I'll have to get rid of the Virginia creeper. I think it looks kind of interesting right now. It's not hurting anything. This is the thing. You bring manure from other farms and you bring in all kinds of new weeds and grasses. This is Johnson grass.
You're
now,
kidding.
fortunately,
Looks like corn.
I can almost pull this. Wow, yesterday I was able to pull some of this. I want to get it up by the roots. Yeah, see? Because this is just good compost in here, so it's pretty loose. If this was in soil, you'd never pull the Johnson grass up like that. But I just want to get rid of it.
Wow.
There's something else in there. It's got jaggers on. Yeah. Got to get rid of that. Well, I can do that later, but almost got it.
It actually was kind of pretty, but if it's invasive, that's bad.
Oh, you do not want Johnson grass. Man,
I didn't know any grass was that high.
Yeah, it really spreads and it's real invasive. Yeah, this whole bed along the front of the house here, this is all spearmint, and it's pretty well taken over. I hardly have any weeds pop up anymore. I see a couple I should get, but...
That almost looks like borage, but it's not, is it?
I doubt it. I don't know what that is.
It's a weed. Spearmint tea.
Yeah, here.
Spearmint iced tea.
Have you a leaf? Still some birdhouses available.
Tell me about your birdhouses.
Well, Mom and I spent the winter sitting painting, fixing up birdhouses. I sold quite a few. Kaye bought a lot. My friend Denise bought a lot, and I sold a few others on LSN and stuff, but I have some left. Bird feeders.
You know, I wouldn't have thought it, but these with kind of the chain, they love those.
Uh-huh.
They love that style.
Because it's so open, they can see everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could call this the main entrance, at least as you come in the driveway. It's the main entrance to the gardens behind my house. I have another garden down below. It has its own entrance, and it's fenced in. We'll get there later. Mm-hmm. But this is what I can grow that the deer don't bother, usually. I have a little trouble. I'll show you a few things. But broccoli, they don't bother my broccoli. Kale, they nibble occasionally, but they don't bother my kale much. Squash, I can grow all kinds of squash. Watermelon. Now, if it's a bad drought, they'll come and get the watermelon and eat it if you have melons there, but they don't hurt the plants early on. And to any nightshade, you know, potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant and all that, they're not going to mess with them. I mean, they do nibble on the tomato leaves a little bit, and the potato leaves. I think it's probably a young deer just trying something new, because they usually don't do a lot of damage.
You're confusing the pests by mixing different plants together.
Yeah, and I think that just having that mix is, I mean, that's the problem with our big agriculture. You got acres and acres and acres of just corn, one variety, you know, it's just, it's not healthy. If you get a pest in there, it just takes over. So, you know, I might have a pest bother one plant. Well, you'll see some of my broccoli got eaten up pretty bad, but the heads are beautiful. We're going to have some for lunch today. Yeah, there's two kinds of beans here. These
Let me guess, rattlesnake?
Rattlesnake is on that half.
Okay.
This is right here. Let me pull one of these. This is Gold Marie. It's a yellow flat-potted Romano type bean, and they're coming on.
Now you just picked this. Is this ready to cook?
Yeah, that's ready. We can have it for lunch today.
Oh, great. Okay.
And we'll pick some more.
Okay.
But I'm a little getting scared because these are looking so good, and they're about to really deliver, and both varieties give gobs of beans.
Right.
So next week I'll start canning, and be canning for many weeks probably.
Why are you scared?
Because it's a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of beans. And when you see, you know, those beans on that teepee are going to come in. And I've got a whole bunch of beans down in the garden by the creek. And at some point, I'm going to just be swimming in beans.
Well, that's awesome.
All right. Now, we were in the other teepee, which totally surrounded us, and you could go inside a little doorway, and you had teepee all around you. This one is like a half a teepee. But I had to do that because this is where the tree was growing. It was another cedar tree that I stripped down. And I had these other terraces already built, so I had room for a path through here. So I just had to have half a teepee. But it's the south side, so you still get shaded when you come in. And here you see the beans are hanging.
Well, this is magical. If you were a child, you'd just go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
I just used to love any kind of little house type thing when I was a child.
Right,
you
right.
know.
Yep.
Oh, what are the purple?
That's the rattlesnake beans.
Oh, right. I haven't grown them in a couple of years, and I
I
forgot.
saw some beans down here this morning getting started, but these were, I had to do a second planting on these because the deer messed with them. When they're young, I mean, when they're first coming up, when your beans are just, you know, 6 or 8 inches tall or just small like that. Hey, Petey, come here. Yeah, so anyway, the deer love the beans when they're young and tender and small. If you can get them past that, once they get going up the trellis, they don't bother it so much. So, you know, I'm risking having this here because the woods are right there. You know, the deer, I see deer up here all the time, but the closer I get to the house, the less they seem to mess with things. And you'll see later, I got a bed right off the porch, and I got lima beans and bush beans growing there, and they haven't touched a thing.
We're in July.
Yeah.
And look, you've got...
I mean, the bugs are on there. They've eaten the leaves bad, but
I was going to say those are ladybugs. They're not, are they?
Oh, I didn't see what you're saying.
It's the bug that looks like a ladybug that actually does damage. I forget.
Well, they are not bothering the heads at all. And they ate the leaves pretty bad, and then we got a lot of rain, and new leaves came on. And you know what? At that point in time, the heads were about the size of a quarter, but the plants looked horrible. And I came out here, and I actually pulled one out of the ground. And I said, you know what? There's bugs on them and everything. I'm just going to give one plant a day to the chickens, and they can eat the bugs and the leaves. Well, then I came out. I didn't do it the next day. I came out another day, third day maybe, and I noticed the heads had grown quite a bit, and they actually looked like they were going to be pretty good. So the chickens don't get it yet. And all the heads are beautiful. I've eaten 4 or 5 so far.
I know chickens love broccoli. They love brassicas.
Yeah.
What is this thing with the yellow flowers?
That's mullen. That's the mullen plant, the biennial.
Oh, yes, mullen.
Okay, yeah, with the fuzzy leaves.
Yes, now have you already harvested leaves or?
No, I like to harvest leaves the first year because that's when it's new and young and
Soft.
it makes real big leaves and everything.
Because that's when you need to dry them for medicinal,
Yes.
right?
I mean, you could use these. I mean, it's still mullen, but they're so much nicer and fuzzier and bigger on the first year.
This is butterfly bush, isn't it? That's beautiful.
So is this one. It hasn't started flowering yet.
I don't have any butterfly bush. I don't have any butterfly plants.
Wow.
No milkweed, nothing. I have so much to do yet.
Yeah.
Now, what is this over here? This is some kind of squash. Right?
Yeah, that's all volunteer.
Oh, wow.
I assume it's butternut squash because for some reason I always grow butternut squash every year, whether I plant any or not. I always have a good butternut squash harvest.
Well, that's good because I literally planted your butternut squash seeds today.
Okay, well,
You
there's
think
time. Oh, yeah, they come pretty quick. You
Okay.
get them. Every year I grow different things in these beds. You know, I rotate it around. You know, this might have been potatoes last year, and now I've got peppers and yellow squash, tomatoes. That's a marigold. So, you know, it's just, I just move things around and change it every year. Now, this bed behind me that looks all empty is where I'm going to grow my fall broccoli and my fall kale, which right now are about that tall under lights. I just started them a week or so ago. So this will be in the fall, and I might even use the row cover tunnel if it gets too cold toward the end to keep them going longer.
And did you say this is hay?
Yeah, this is the hay I bought from Denise's friend. It saved me. You know, it's been so wet this year. If I hadn't bought that hay, I think I would have lost my garden to weeds. I mean, a lot of my garden. It's just been an unbelievably wet year. And this hay, this is actually, this bed had weeds about this high all the way across.
Wow.
And all I did was lay them over and cover them with hay.
That's it?
That's all I did. And I'm going to go in here next week and separate the hay and pop in my broccoli and my kale.
So you didn't use cardboard or anything?
No,
How
the hay will do it.
How many inches of hay?
I don't know, 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah, it's packed pretty tight. In those round bales, it's really compressed tight. So, you know, you can grab a sheet, you know, a couple inches, and you really put a lot on there.
Something that someone suggested to me was to just go to Home Depot and get a bale of straw because there's no weeds and, you know, it's easy to deal with, and I can actually probably lift it myself and get it in my truck.
Right.
But you don't feel positive about using straw for mulch.
Right. I mean, the square bale part is true. It's easier to handle. But, and if you're in a pinch and that's all you can have, sure, it's not going to hurt to use the straw. But, you know, I don't like it. It slips and slides. You slip on it when you first put it on. But the main reason I don't like the straw is it's not giving any nutrients when it breaks down to it's silica. I mean, you're adding some sand basically is all you're adding, which is okay. But with hay, you're getting the seed tops where all the nutrition, that's where all the nutrition is. And so when that breaks down, you're actually getting something that's good for your soil, you know, help build your soil.
Wow. So this is that little plant I gave you.
This is the little blueberry cherry that Kaye gave to me when it was about, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches tall. And I put it in here. And of course now, when you grow in these cages, see, your job is to come out every few days. What you're trying for is to have all the branches be contained inside the cage till they bust out over the top. Then they'll grow and they'll hang down and you'll get even more of a harvest.
So if they poke out down here like this one, you have
yeah,
a problem.
it's a problem. I didn't get to that in time, see, and to try to do it now, I'd probably break the branch.
But you could clip it.
But sometimes I do it like that. I tuck it back in, and it'll find its way up through there. So it doesn't have to be every branch, it's, you know, but it makes it neater and easier to harvest and stuff. It's not hanging out in the path.
And I just always used to think that you had to keep tomatoes thinned out because if they're crowded like that, you're going to get more diseases inside there.
Well,
No?
you know, it is thick growth this year, and you know it's been a lot of rain too. I kind of thought I'd have some problems from the moisture. But everything's just thriving. Everything is thriving this year.
That's why I'm here. Darrell just gave me a castor bean plant. Is that what it is?
The red one, red castor
And
bean.
Justin got it in the ground yesterday. So I'm looking forward to that.
And this is my crop of ground ivy.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
I could mention it. I'm going to show you. Okay, see, okay. All right, all this stuff is ground ivy, okay? It sends out runners, it spreads everywhere. Like here, I just planted this rose bush and I didn't get around to mulching it with hay, which I'm gonna do here shortly. But you see what's happening. This starts to climb up, it'll come up and cover over your plants. I mean, if you don't fight this stuff. So, you know, I weed eated once in here, and I don't think I'm gonna weed eat again. I'm gonna put hay over everything here, and that'll knock it out. I mean, it'll never kill it off. In the winter, early spring, it'll start coming back.
Just tell us how you got it here.
That's heartbreaking. It didn't live here until I got here. The previous farm I lived at for a short period of time down along a river. Boy, when you live along a big river, you get all the bad weeds, Johnson grass, and this stuff, ground eye, and that place was covered up with it. And I still didn't know about it or how bad it could be. And I had a potted plant that I had put in the soil, and I put it in a pot to bring it over here. And I planted it down near the creek, and that's where it started. And now this stuff is everywhere. If there's sunshine, it's growing there, all over my whole farm. And I do battle with it constantly.
How many years did it take to just cover the place?
I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe.
It started out one little piece.
One little thing, yeah. And I didn't see it happening, so it spread to be something pretty big before I saw, whoa, what's that? And I was like, wait, I remember that from that other farm. It's like, uh-oh.
Then it's too late.
Yep. When it first got up here into my gardens, I seriously thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to move. I can't garden with this stuff. I seriously thought I was gonna have to move. But over the years, I've sort of figured out the way to work. We work together. I mean, one thing, the chickens like to eat it, so, you know, and it's edible and medicinal for humans, so, you know, it has uses. And what I found is, like, in the fall, maybe I harvest stuff and the ground ivy will just take over. Well, okay, that's a good ground cover to get me through the winter. And what do I do in the spring? I go in and weed eat that stuff down, and all the nutrients go right back into the soil. So, you know, it's a very prolific grower. If you're using it in that way for biomass, gather it up and put it in a compost pile, you'll get a lot of material. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's okay in some ways. Down by the road, I have a bamboo grove, and it's a grassy area out in front of it. Used to be grassy, now it's all this stuff. But that's okay, because I weed eat it right before the shoots start coming up. Then I can see the shoots and harvest them. And then when that's over, the ground ivy just takes over, and I don't have to mow anymore. I mean, you know, it gets about that tall and just, it looks nice. So I use it.
Tell me about the bamboo shoots and when you harvest and what is the season and all of that.
I mean, if you're going to grow bamboo, you do need to have some acreage, okay? You don't want to do it in suburbia right next to your neighbor's fence or anything like that. But if you have a situation like that, where you can have a bamboo grove and then the area around it, you keep mowed. Okay, and that's your harvest zone, because the bamboo is always going to be trying to spread in all directions. And as tall as your bamboo variety is, that's how far out it'll send roots trying to get out and make a bigger grove. Well, that's good. That grassy area is for that purpose. And so when the shoots come up, and there's a season, you know, each variety, it's generally April, May, and June. And they only try to send shoots up for a month or two, and then that's it till next year. So as long as you're out there and you do your harvesting, well, the rest of the year you're just mowing a grassy area and, you know, keeping it looking nice, and you got your bamboo right there.
Yeah. So all these botanical gardens that have bamboo groves, they have employees to do that.
A few weeks ago, this was a beautiful 3 rows of potatoes, all mulched in, real nice. It was pretty. And don't let it fool you. I mean, I'm getting gobs of potatoes out here. This is probably the best potato harvest I've ever had. But look at the ground ivy.
It's everywhere.
It's covering up the potato plants. You know, it's going to be hard for me to find where the plants are, but it's okay. I mean, you can see where I dug some out already over in here.
Even with all of the bug holes, your potatoes are good?
Oh, yeah. I'm getting big ones, nice. This year I did something different. Okay, all the years I've ever grown potatoes, I do the cutting or chitting, I believe you called it. You know, I used to cut them into little golf ball size pieces and put them out, and you grow potatoes. But I was always disappointed with the harvest. And I can't say that the switch of methods this year is the reason. It might just be all the rain we've had. But this year I saw, I think it was M.I. Gardner, I think that's where I saw it, but he showed you how to, on a potato, there's a little place where it originally broke off the stem. And that's the bottom end of it. And at the top end, that's where all these sprouts. And so he suggested stack them up in a carton or something and have them all upright and in your house, you know, and let them go ahead and start sending up some little shoots. And then plant them in that way with that, you know, with the shoots up. A whole potato, no cutting. You're planting a whole potato. And I tried to get golf ball size or kind of smallish, but I planted some pretty big ones too. I have never had, I'm getting big potatoes, lots of potatoes off each plant. It could be the rain, it could be that method, I don't know, but great harvest this year. Here's another castor bean plant. Now I gave Kaye the red phase one. This is just all green stem and green leaves, but this castor bean gets bigger than any of them. And just look at the size of these leaves. I mean, it'll get bigger than that even, you know.
And you said the leaves are poisonous,
The
right?
the whole plant is poisonous. I'm only growing it for ornamental purposes. It looks tropical. I like to give a tropical look to my place. So I have banana, canna, castor bean, you know, things that, you know, just sort of look tropical. The poison that's in this plant, just so you know, I mean, you don't want pets or kids around this. It makes these little beans, castor beans, and that's actually what people use to make ricin, the toxin that you've heard about that's real bad. So, you know, it's a dangerous plant if you got kids or animals that might eat those seeds.
Wait, am I walking across?
No, that's okay. That's okay. Although, you see all these little green things? Almost all that's going to be lamb's quarters.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. And how do you know?
Because I throw lamb's quarter seeds all over all my beds every year.
Oh, you do? Okay, cool. I need to grow that.
Yep. Here's another banana plant I have up here by the chicken run. Normally, I dig these up and root them and pot them and sell them. I didn't do that this year, and so what I'm doing is coming up about every 2 weeks and just taking the machete to them and hacking them back. Because I just want the three main ones to get all the energy of the roots and grow as big as possible. So.
And then at what point does it die off or whatever?
Frost. First frost will kill it.
Oh, and then what does it look like?
It turns brown. And actually, I leave it up. It looks kind of cool hanging there like a big sculpture or something. You know, I left them up till January, February this year.
Scarecrow?
Yeah, it's still interesting looking, you know. You can go out at any... Now, it is fun to go out, like, if you know the frost is coming. And so it's still green and juicy to go, and the stems maybe that big around at the base. Go out there with your machete and see if you can hack through that in one swoop. if not, two will do it. But you know, it's so juicy. But it's really thick. By the end of the season, I'm serious.
We have to get our kicks, like for farming.
Right? Yeah, one of the fun things you do out here in the country.
See if you can hack through a banana plant in one sweep, one swing.
Some people in the city go to their favorite coffee shop. I come out here and hack on banana plants.
What kind of variety is this? Because this is the potato leaf.
Yeah, this one. Oh, that fell off. It was something. Oh, wait. Oh, it's brandywine.
Oh, okay. Brandywine is a potato leaf?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And there's some of the milkweed plants.
Oh, yes. These.
And a lot of these tomatoes up in here are Berkeley tie-dyes.
Are these the Tennessee native milkweed?
Yep. I didn't plant them. They just came up.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I just broke that.
Oh.
That's the risk. Now, I'll show you. That's a trick I've learned. Let me take you over here. When you're tucking these into the cage, and you do like I frequently do, you waited too long, like, right? If I grab this and try to bend it, I'll probably break it. But if I go down about a foot and pull the whole big branch, it just slides right in.
Sure.
And so that keeps me from, now that one, I don't know why I didn't do that on that one. I just broke one off. But and here, this water, I'm very excited about.
Oh, this is the huge mullen.
That's another mullen, yeah.
My goodness. I had no idea it turns into something that big. Okay, go ahead.
I'm very excited about this particular watermelon right here. I have one plant. It's an old variety I used to grow called Orange Glow.
Oh, yeah.
It really has orange flesh and it's super sweet. And my seeds are old and I planted a whole bunch and only one came up. And here it is. And there's flowers. If I can just get one melon, I'll be back in fresh seed again.
Yes, true.
And then I got a variety of squash up there. There's summer squash and winter squash. There's about 3 or 4 different kinds mixed in there. And if we go right up here, you can taste some wineberries, although the main wineberry planting is down below.
Okay, let's go.
For your favorite shade of red, Kaye, that's when they're ripe. The deep maroon. Wineberries.
So it's got to be more like a garnet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the color of a garnet.
There'll be a lot down below, too.
Okay.
Here, I got a little handful here.
Ooh, that looks like jewels, doesn't it, in the sun? Wow.
Aren't they great? You got to see that bed right off the back porch.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the pond and then down to the garden.
Okay. This looks like summer squash,
Yep.
zucchini or something. The leaves are wilted in the sun.
Yep.
That's typical, right?
Yeah, that they do
That's
that
not anything
to
to worry
preserve
about.
moisture. They're just conserving the moisture they have. And in the evening when the sun gets lower, they just inflate back up.
And it's not a sign of a weakness of the plant or anything.
No, gourds and squash family, pumpkins, they all do that.
You'll be very happy to know that I planted gourd seeds today.
Yeah, what kind?
It's called speckled snake.
Ooh,
It's
Yeah.
Maple Creek seed.
that's cool. Okay, this is just off the back porch. So Mom and I sit out here in the evening, and this is or in the early morning, and this is the bed we can see the best. This is the only thing I didn't plant here. It's a volunteer watermelon somehow got here.
Wow.
Guess I'll see what that turns into. I got some yellow beets. There's more lima beans, the bush lima.
Oh, the
and-
petunias are beautiful.
yeah, they're pretty ones. This is a bush bean, but these things really produce. It's a Cherokee is the name of this one.
So
And,
it's like a yellow bean?
yeah, just a regular yellow bean. And then the smaller looking plants here, this is that dragon tongue. Makes a really interesting looking bean.
Yeah, you're right.
But these are even prettier than the rattlesnakes.
And they're flatter.
Yeah, these are flat ones. And we got a few flowers, and we got our
Love the
little
way
canna show going on up there.
How big is it?
I think it's one.
It's like 2.
But you know where that came from? That property that I looked at for Kaye.
Hey, girls.
I guess you could look at the chickens since you're up there.
Hey, girls.
These are pretty too.
Petey, what do you think? Is it getting hot? Okay, chickens.
We could do. You can show the chicken house, and we'll
Yeah.
go in.
Let's do it.
All right, here we are at the chicken house.
Okay.
Let's go see how the girls are doing. Now I got this little room you can come in. You don't have to go in with the birds. You can come over here and gather eggs just like this. Oops, I won't disturb her. She's in there laying right now.
Okay.
But anyway, you can just gather your eggs there. But then you can go on into where the chickens are. And I have a sand.
Now I need to close this, right?
Yes.
Well, what about Petey?
Petey, outside. Petey,
Back.
outside. Go on.
Back. He goes, what'd I do? What'd I do? I did
Hey
nothing.
girls, how we doing?
Hi, girls.
That's a pretty girl. You gonna come and see
Hi,
me?
girls.
Just to go come and see me. Sweetie.
What's her name?
This is Sweetie. She lays the big brown egg, and so does Big Red, that one right there. These are like sisters. And these two lay the biggest eggs, the great big ones you get.
And how old is she now, would you say?
Well, we got them in this, wait a minute. She would be March, April, May, June. So she's 14 months old.
When did they start laying?
Probably about November, December, something like that. They were chicks, and I got them in April. Just a couple day old chicks. You're a good girl. Yeah. Would you like to get down? Yeah. You gonna go outside with the girls? Yeah. There you go. This is a place where whoever had this place before and they made this road for logging purposes, I assume, they just pushed rocks all up on this hill. They were just scattered, piled up and stuff. And so while I had a skid steer here, I used it to move some of these really big rocks. And basically, almost all the rocks you see here to make these 3 terraces were laying right here. I just had to scrape them off the hill and put them in a nice pattern. If you look at the bottom, that's one big slab that goes across there. And I didn't even know that was there. I was just trying to widen the road area a little bit, and I discovered that ledge. And so I just built right on top of that to take my walls across there. Worked out pretty nice.
Do you have Queen Anne's lace all over, just growing
Yeah, it
wild?
pops up. It just pops up wild, sure. So we'll come down off from the pond area and just come on down to, this is my lower level garden down by the creek. And this is all fenced in to keep out critters, but they haven't been bothering it this year. Okay, look, see it on that side where we can see all those bamboo poles sticking up?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 5 years ago, I had this entire garden done up with those, plus I wove them across. So 10 feet high, it was like a basket going all the way around. And no deer went in there when I had it like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I let it fall apart and the deer still aren't going in there. I don't know why. And they're not, I mean, I have sweet potatoes. They love sweet potatoes, right? All they have to do is jump the fence and go eat them. They're not doing it. So this used to be a goat shed.
Cannas are beautiful. Those are cannas, right?
Yep. All
And
yellow.
Where are the Japanese beetles?
Huh?
Oh, here we are.
They're starting a little.
There's some damage.
Yep. They don't hit them too hard.
This was a goat shed?
Yeah, this is old goat shed when I had goats years ago, and
Oh, you had goats?
this was well,
Milking goats or just
yeah,
meat?
milk goats. Yeah, filled this up with hay. This has lasted me a long time. I keep my hay in there.
Tell me how you plant sweet potatoes, because I
Okay.
was going to ask you anyway.
Yeah, well, I came out here and I made a mound. You know, nothing real high. You know, 6-8 inches. Made a mound and I planted them about a foot apart, and I keep the rows about 4 feet apart, which really you should do more than that probably, because in another month or two, you won't see any of this hay. It'll all be vines of sweet potatoes. They will totally cover this with greenery and beyond. But that's all that's what I like about them. You know, I plant them, I mulch them,
Forget it.
forget it till it's time to harvest them. And then this trellis here, right behind you, is just
Cattle panel?
different kinds of beans. Yeah, I got a cattle
Oh.
panel. I used some bamboo. This one's falling over now, just to let the beans have something to climb on.
Wow.
And that row back there is called the Hungarian October bean. It's really to be used as a dried bean, but I'm going to eat it some fresh too. And then this is 2 different kinds of pole lima beans I'm trying out for the first time that I picked up at that seed exchange I was telling you about. You know, the things I like, I've seen people, they take these cattle panels, they're 16 feet long, and they just, you know, put it up in an arch and bend it down. Somebody,
I can't get a 16.
yeah, you'll need a flatbed trailer to bring it to you, a 16-foot flatbed. It's the only way you'll get them onto your property. There's your Jerusalem artichoke.
Oh, yes. Which could spread if you
Yeah,
know, I mean,
I'm
who
hoping it
cares?
does. I hope it fills up a good area here.
Do you eat them?
Yeah, I haven't yet. I'm trying to let it build up. But yeah, they're great to come out in the wintertime, dig them up. It's like, you can just eat them raw like an apple. They're real crunchy.
Oh, really? I've never eaten one raw.
Yeah, they're great. This is my main wineberry section. It goes all the way around the outside of the fence, and then I got 3 trellises running down in between. PD likes these too.
You probably agree with that
Here, Pete.
thing that I say often, Darrell, is that a garden is never finished and it's never done.
That's right. There's always something to do. It doesn't matter if I'm inside the house or outside the house. And it doesn't matter where I look. I see stuff that needs doing.
You know, I probably have this much space to grow, and if I had the imagination to develop it all.
Well, you can do these in shady, you know, edge of the woods kind of territory. When I was a little kid, I used to eat these all the time, and I would find them growing right where the woods met the field. They had a zone, and they loved it. They took over. Well, you can take some more cuttings off of these and try again.
Oh, really? It's not
Sure.
too late?
I don't think so. And they're real easy to pick. And if you pick a whole bunch of them, you get kind of sticky. They have a little stickiness to them. I don't know. But it is so sweet. They're so delicious.
Wow. And you say they do have thorns.
Well, yeah, they're a little short. You know, they're not anything that's going to tear you open or anything. But if you do get one in you, it's hard to get them out because they're so small, and it'll bug you for a while.
Is this one ready?
Yeah, that could be picked. Yeah, the deeper the red, the better. I mean, you know, let's see. I got one in there, like that one. See, that's still got the orange color to it. I mean, it's edible. It's good. It's just not going to be as sweet as those dark red ones. I do have one caution, because you want to watch what you're doing when you pick these things, because stink bugs love these things. And I just did it a moment ago. I picked one without looking, and I got stink bug in there too.
Did you put it in your mouth?
Well, I didn't feel the bug, but he must have just been on it, and I got the taste.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a horrible taste. You know how they stink? That's how they taste.
Okay.
One more thing I was going to mention about the wineberries is once you have them on your property, the birds and the animals, they're going to eat them, and their droppings will end up everywhere. You'll find these things coming up in your woods and around your place. You know, they spread like crazy. But in the woods where it's real deep shade, they're not going to do much. You might get a few berries. Mm-hmm. But if they hit a sunny spot, they'll take over there too. In that way, it's invasive, but to me, it's a good invasive. It's food. You know, I don't mind a food plant making home in my woods. You know, and I take a walk in the woods and I can eat as I go. That's how it used to be in the old days.
Tell me about cannas. Do they just spread underground? Is that
yeah? They keep spreading. Yeah, look, Kaye. This was all I wanted was about a 2-foot row out from the shed. Mm-hmm. All this is spread out. I mean, I'm going to dig all this out. I'm going to gone. I'm going to put it somewhere else. Because I just want to go back to my little, you know, I used to have, my walking trail used to be here. I had to keep, every year I moved my walking trail over because of the canna.
Oh, give me a few if you want to get rid of them.
Oh, yeah, they're yellow. They're nice. They're about half the way there now. This is Concord grapes. So they get about the size of a nickel in diameter. So they're, you know, not quite a dime yet.
Reason to grow
grapes? Another reason to have a grapevine on your property, besides the grapes, and it looks beautiful, but is you can use the leaves when you make dill pickles. 1 leaf per jar is part of the recipe to make a dill pickle batch.
Really?
Uh-huh. And then here, this is more scarlet runner beans, more yellow crowder beans, and down at the end, the red noodle, the Chinese yardlong bean. But,
let's go see that.
But see now, this is just fenced this high. Mm-hmm. So now that these are doing, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put some bamboo. I'm going to build a little bamboo rack up here for him to climb higher. Okay.
The squirrels have just.
Yeah, usually before these pear apples get that size, they get eaten by the squirrel. So I'm a little encouraged that maybe he's going to leave them alone. Ever since I built this pond dam, it's kind of hemmed in this garden, and I think the deer are afraid to come down in here, and the squirrel for some reason. So it's like ever since I built the dam, I'm having less critter problems down here. Okay. But see, that ground ivy's doing a good job. It's holding everything in place.
That's true.
And it looks nice. Instead of a big brown stripe across there, I got a green stripe across there. It looks okay. Pete. Look here. You see a squirrel? Now, you know, when you come here to see me, I usually try to send you home with a plant or at least seeds or something. And this is a weeping willow tree, but it's not just any weeping willow tree. This is a special one. Back when Kaye was looking for her property last summer, Denise and I did a lot of driving around looking at properties and showing her pictures and talking to her on the phone about it. Well, one place I went to had an awesome hand-dug well. I was so impressed with that thing. Remember that place? On the corner of that property was an old dying weeping willow tree. Really? But it had one branch that had some good greenery on, and I took a clipping or two off, and I rooted them, and that's from that property.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I told Mom, did you ever see where they'll take like a wheelbarrow and it's tilted over in their front yard to look like soil spilling out? I said, this would be the perfect plant to do because it would spill out and go across the ground and everything, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you've been gardening for decades. What would you advise somebody who's just starting?
Who's just starting? Start small. And start with things that people tell you are easy to grow, so you experience some success.
Like potatoes.
Potatoes is a good one, because you can start with just a grassy yard and get all that tilled up and put potatoes in and then mulch them and you'll have a harvest.
Yeah.
You know, so, but then, you know, always expand every year. Make a garden a little bigger, grow a plant you never grew before. You know, try different things, make some trellises, do some things, you know, and just keep expanding.
Save heirloom seeds.
Yeah, and learn how to save seeds for sure. You know, if you buy heirloom type seeds to start with, then you'll never have to buy them again if you keep them up yourself. I have a lot of things like that. So,
What do you like best about gardening?
it never ends. It's just there all the time. You know, if I look out the window, it doesn't matter what time of year. It could be snow on the ground, and there's garden-related things I could or should be doing out there or in here. You know, so but if it's good weather, there's always a gazillion things to do. You're never be bored if you're a gardener.
So here we are in Darrell's bamboo forest, and I want you to be sure and go back and watch the videos we've done here before, because he went into a lot of detail about the varieties and the collection and all sorts of information. But right now, Darrell wants to address something that people are concerned about in terms of bamboo, which is a lot of people feel like it's invasive, right? So you take it away.
Yeah, well, and it is an invasive plant, and what they mean when they say invasive is it spreads quickly and can take over a large area. And if it's a plant that we like my wineberries, I'd certainly call wineberries invasive, but I like that because I like wineberries and I like bamboo. And so, you know, not just for the shoots to eat, but for using the canes for different purposes in the garden, around the house, for crafts, for different things, and just for the beauty of it from the house, watching it sway in the breeze. There's so many things I love about the bamboo. And the thing I hear the most from people is, well, you shouldn't be bringing a foreign, meaning from another country, you know, species of plant and bringing it here to our pristine ecosystem that you're going to mess up by bringing this in. Well, that's what I want to address. I'm going to tell you just a quick little story. When I was a little kid, you know, I was in grade school or whatever, and I read about, they were describing America back in the 1700s, 1800s, you know, when the settlers were first coming and making their inroads into the interior. They said in those days, a squirrel could run or travel from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground. And as a child, I just imagined this gigantic forest with big trees that spread out and the squirrels running across the branches, and ancient forest. And I thought, wow, that's what it was like. But I was wrong. America wasn't like that at all. 50% of what that squirrel was going to be traveling on was bamboo. Okay? Not this kind of bamboo, not big nice bamboo like this. These are from China and Japan, different places. America's bamboo is kind of skinny and gets, you know, 12 or 15 feet tall, and it's not a good quality wood. If you use it out in the garden, it doesn't last but a year. And so, you know, but we had bamboo. They had these things called cane breaks that were vast areas, usually down along river bottoms and things like that, but they covered such vast areas that a lot of people, if you go in there, you get lost and you lose your direction, and there's nothing to, you know, it's a scary place to be. You know, half of eastern United States was bamboo. Okay, now, why not? Why be so afraid of it? I mean, yeah, we could go back and just try to have cane breaks of the old thing we had, but why not switch to something more useful? Japan, China, a lot of countries that have multiple species like this, and they make so much use of it. We could be doing that too. And then when it gets into a forest, it doesn't just totally take over and wipe out all the trees. If it's a tall trees, I mean, bamboo has trouble growing in the shade. So, you know, in a sunny area, it's going to move into it. But once it gets to the woods, you might see one here or one there. So I don't think it's such a big worry. What are we so afraid of? You know, let's turn it into a paradise.
Yeah. You know, I'm so fortunate to be able to live close to these guys and Denise, and we just had an incredible lunch. Darrell prepared chicken, stir fry with garden vegetables. Everything was from his garden, from the bamboo shoots, which he dries, And he collects in the spring and dries and reconstitutes, rehydrates, and to squash and potatoes and carrots, and everything was from his garden. Kale, broccoli, it was great. Onions. So thank you so much for spending this time with us. Please subscribe to my channel and look forward to many more interesting and educational videos to come. Thanks so much. Thanks, Darrell.
See y'all.
If you enjoyed this video, please watch these. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see you in the next video.